The very first command given to humanity was not to pray. It wasn't to fast, nor was it to give charity, not even to believe. It was simply, Iqra, read. This wasn't just a casual command. This was Allah calling upon us to engage our minds, our hearts, and our souls with the gift of knowledge. Knowledge that opens our eyes to the truth of existence, the purpose of our lives, and the deep connection between us and our Creator. The command was not for mere information, but for the transformation of our hearts and minds. By reading, we unlock the ability to understand, to reflect, and to come closer to the wisdom Allah has placed in the universe. And so, the very foundation of Islam begins with an invitation to engage with the world through understanding and reflection. In a world filled with noise, chaos, and distractions, this call to seek knowledge remains timeless and eternal. We are surrounded by information in the form of books, lectures, podcasts, and articles. Yet, the more we consume, the more we feel disconnected, restless, and uncertain. We are flooded with facts, but starved for wisdom, for meaning, for the clarity of purpose. How many times have we been overwhelmed by the noise of social media, the rush of daily tasks, and the pressure of worldly concerns? Yet in the midst of all this, our souls hunger for the deep, life-changing wisdom that knowledge provides. And that wisdom is what Allah offers us in His book, in the life of the Prophet Latifeh, and in the countless examples of our righteous predecessors. Let's reflect on the story of Imam Abu Hanifa, one of the greatest scholars in Islamic history. Before he became the great jurist we know today, he was a young merchant. But there was something within him that pushed him to seek more. It was a yearning that could not be satisfied by worldly wealth. He saw people around him immersed in commerce, and yet they seemed to be disconnected from the purpose of life. One day, an elder saw him in the marketplace and said, "Nouman, you are capable of much more than this. Don't let your mind be wasted on this temporary world. You have the potential to lead the way in something much greater." This simple yet profound statement changed the course of his life. Imam Abu Hanifa left behind his career in business and turned to the pursuit of knowledge. And from that moment, he became a beacon of wisdom for generations to come. But here's the truth. Imam Abu Hanifa wasn't just an extraordinary scholar because he was incredibly intelligent. His greatness came from his humility and his desire to learn. He didn't just seek knowledge to appear learned or to gain fame. He sought knowledge to know Allah better, to understand His commands, and to help the people around him live in accordance with the divine truth. This is the essence of knowledge in Islam. It isn't for arrogance, nor is it for status. It is a means to purify the heart, to strengthen the connection with Allah, and to live a life that is fulfilling and meaningful. But then do we hesitate to seek knowledge today? Why are we so often distracted by the world around us? The truth is, seeking knowledge requires humility, effort, and patience. It requires us to acknowledge that there is so much we don't know, and that can be uncomfortable. But humility in the face of knowledge is one of the highest qualities a believer can possess. Allah tells us in the Qur'an that the scholars are the ones who truly fear Him, and they are the ones who know the truth of their own limitations. Seeking knowledge is not about knowing everything, but about recognizing our ignorance and seeking the truth from those who have it. The Prophet himself is the greatest example of this. Despite being the most knowledgeable of all creation, he constantly sought to increase his understanding. In his last moments, when the burden of the message was almost over, he prayed to Allah, "O my Lord, increase me in knowledge." Even the Prophet Latifeh, the beloved messenger of Allah, the one who received the Qur'an directly from Allah, still sought knowledge with humility, never feeling that he had. He continuously turned to Allah, asking for more understanding, more wisdom, and more guidance. This is a beautiful reminder for us. Seeking knowledge isn't a one-time event, it's a lifelong journey. A journey that never ends as long as we remain humble and committed to growing in our understanding of the Deen. If the Prophet Latifeh, with all of his knowledge, humbly sought more, then how much more should we, the ones who are still learning and growing, continue our search for knowledge with sincerity and dedication? Let's also reflect on the story of Fatima, a mother who, like many of us, was overwhelmed by the demands of life. She had children to take care of, a job to maintain, and responsibilities that seemed endless. But in the quiet hours of the night, when the world was asleep, Fatima would take a few moments to connect with her Creator. After putting her children to bed, she would sit down with the Quran and read, just a few verses at a time. And in those verses, she found peace. She found strength. She found a sense of purpose that no worldly achievement could ever give her. Fatima's story reminds us that it's not the quantity of knowledge we seek, but the sincerity and reflection with which we approach it. Even if it's just a few minutes a day, knowledge can transform our hearts and our lives. Well, imagine if we, too, dedicated just a small portion of our day to seek knowledge, to reflect on the Quran, to understand its meanings, and to connect with the wisdom it offers. We would find our hearts softened, our minds sharpened, and our connection to Allah deepened. We would no longer be lost in the distractions of the world, but anchored in the truth that gives our lives real purpose. And the more we seek, the more we will find not just information, but the wisdom to navigate the complexities of life, the wisdom to deal with hardship, the wisdom to live in a way that pleases Allah. As the Prophet literally said, whoever follows a path in search of knowledge, Allah will make the path to paradise easy for him. This is the reward for those who seek knowledge sincerely. Not only do they find guidance in this life, but they earn eternal rewards in the hereafter. It is a path that leads to Jannah, to paradise. Knowledge, when pursued with the right intention, becomes a source of light for the soul. It elevates us, protects us, and guides us to the straight path. So I ask you, when was the last time you picked up the Quran with the intention to learn, to understand, to reflect? When was the last time you asked Allah to increase your knowledge? Not for the sake of pride, but for the sake of increasing your closeness to Him. Knowledge is the foundation upon which everything else is built, our worship, our character, and our purpose in life. And if we truly want to make a difference in the world around us, we must begin by seeking knowledge with sincerity, humility, and dedication. The path to knowledge is not easy, but it is one of the most rewarding journeys we can undertake. And the best part is that Allah has promised to make it easy for those who seek it. So take the first step today. Start with a verse, reflect on its meaning, ask Allah for guidance, and watch how your heart begins to change, how your life begins to transform, and how your connection with Allah grows deeper. Because when you seek knowledge, you are not just accumulating facts. You are transforming yourself, your heart, and your soul. And inshallah, you will find that the light of knowledge will illuminate your path to Jannah.